Hello everybody, my name is Dr. Zephy and welcome to a new episode of Just the Tip. This time around I'm gonna share with you my roadmap to becoming a mini painting god. Roll intro! Alright, first, some disclaimers. First, this roadmap is more of a guideline. Second, you don't have to become a pro. You can stop pretty much whenever you want if you're satisfied with your painting level. And third, everyone is different and this might not work for you. Now let's go to the first stage. First stage, you're a beginner and you've never painted a mini before, but you've got some nice D&D figs or board game miniatures that you would like to have painted. Thankfully, there are a lot of tutorials on YouTube for that. First, you can start with this one from Goobertown Hobbies. It's probably one of the best out there, so start with it. This one by Vince Venturella on the basics is also pretty good. And if you enjoy the painting process, Vince also made a great video on the things to buy in your first 6 months. Vince also made a great tutorial on brush control, which for my money is one of the first skills that a beginner should learn. There's also this great video from Squidmar Miniatures where he gives you what you need to paint and also shows you 3 different ways to paint. He also made a shorter videos with 2 ways to paint. And finally, he also made a cool video on things to avoid when you're starting. At this stage, honestly, if you just want to paint your D&D minis and don't care about getting better, just go for the contrast method shown by Squidmar. Just grab 2 rattle cans, a dark grey and a white one, first coat of dark grey on your minis, then a coat of white just from above. And then you go grab some transparent paints, like contrast or speed paint. Grab a black one, a brown one, a flesh tone, a green, a blue, a red, a yellow, then a gold, a silver and a white. And you should be good to go. And you basically treat your minis as a coloring book. But if you do want to get better at this stage, I recommend that you focus on your brush control. So go watch that video from Vince I linked. Now on to the next stage. Alright, you've now painted a few minis and you've decided you like the hobby and you want to get better at it. From this point on, if you want to get good, vary your projects. You won't get that far by just painting Space Marine all the time. Hey guys, quick cut in to talk about a resource I forgot to mention. This is a great article by Trent Dennison on the psychology of learning relating to mini painting. It's a great read and the gist of it is basically try to get out of your comfort zone fairly often, but not too far out, because then you enter the panic zone. Anyway, back to the Rio. But at this stage, it's now time to learn the super secret techniques. I'm gonna give you a list of the most common mini painting techniques, and you can just learn them 1 or 2 at a time. You practice them until you feel you've got a good grasp on them, and then you move on to the next. The first technique is layering. You basically put different coats of paint on your miniature, reducing the surface of the layer as your color gets brighter. And for tutorials on this technique, you've got this one by Miniac, and this one by Vince Venturella. Second technique is dry brushing. You basically grab a big brush, put some paint on it, and remove some of the paint on paper towel or a surface, and then you brush on the paint on your miniature like you're dusting it off. And that way the paint only catches the edges of the miniature. For tutorials, you can watch this one by Miniac, this one from Ninja, and this one by Vince Venturella. The third technique is called edge highlight, and it's just basically the technique where you paint the edges of your miniature, most of the time with the edge of your brush. For tutorials on this technique, you've got once again one by Miniac, and this one from Vince Venturella. Next up we got washes, also called liquid talent. Basically you use heavily diluted paints that will pull in the recesses of your miniature, making it more defined. For tutorials you can once again go to Miniac and Vince Venturella. Next up we got glazing. For this technique you dilute your paint again, but you don't load your brush with it as much as a wash. For tutorials we once again go to Miniac, as well as Vince Venturella. Vince also made a video on thinning your paints, which you'll find very helpful. Next technique is called wet blending. You basically mix your paint directly on the miniature while the paint is fresh. Once again for tutorials we got a great one by Miniac. We also got this great video by Ninja about his favorite paints, but it's actually a wet blending tutorial in disguise. We obviously have a tutorial by the great Vinci V, as well as this tutorial by pro painter Sam Lenz. And the final technique I'm going to talk about is the loaded brush. You basically fill up your brush with thin paint, then dip the tip in a thicker paint. And then when you switch your brush around on the miniature, the first paint is going to influence the second paint, blending them together. For tutorials on this, we once again go to the great Vince Venturella. And that's it for the techniques for now. There's a lot more, but these are the common ones. So now let's go to the next stage. For stage 3, you've learned a few techniques and have painted about a dozen projects. At this stage, you should feel a lot more confident, and you should feel like you could get a decent result out of about any miniature that you buy. However, you start going on Instagram, looking for inspiration, and you stumble onto pro-painted minis, and you feel like they're untouchable with how incredible they are. They feel so different from yours, so real, so oomph. Yours feel like crap in comparison. Like, how will you get there? Is what you do even painting? Well, my friend, if you want to get better at this stage, it's time to learn some theory. Also at this stage, if you want to speed up your progress, I recommend that you start painting some practice models. Models where you pick one thing to really focus on and where you speed run through the rest. This can be a study about light, color, faces, OSL, whatever you want. For videos to watch at this stage, I can only recommend this video from Squidmar. This is a video that teaches you about light, and to this day I think it's his most important video, and probably the most important mini painting video out there. So just go watch it. This introduced me to the concept of light, and it was just mind-blowing to me. Vince Venturella also made a good video on light where he goes into a more of a beginner painting approach to it, like here's this simple technique to start getting you working on light. So go watch it. For colors, there's this great video on color theory by a channel that's not about mini painting at all, but painting is painting, and you can learn from any outsource. You can also watch this great video from Squidmar on how he got better in a short span. I also recommend you watch this video of his, which is an example of this type of study I was talking about. Here he focuses on skin and spends most of his time on it, and the rest is just contrast paint all over. This video is also great to learn about how to make minis pop and look better in a short amount of time. It gives you all the pro tips on like things to focus on. You've also got this great video from Vince about getting smooth blends. I should add that for me, blending should not be used for your army painting. It should be kept for display miniatures as well as competition miniatures, because it takes a lot of time and is not that important to make what makes a mini good looking. Light and color and contrast are way more important. We've also got this great video from Maniac. And finally, if you want to do some face study, I can only recommend this great video from Squidmar. It's helped me quite a bit, and you've seen the application in my Obi-Wan video. Final thing I want to say for this stage is that don't worry if it takes time to learn all this theory and put it into practice. It took me over 6 months to somewhat start to understand the working of light and how to apply it on miniatures. And I'm an addict that paints every day. But enough chit chat, let's go to the final stage. Stage 4 is a stage where you want to get serious about mini painting. You've been painting for a year or more and you feel like the introduction of theory has made your painting way better. You're getting tons of compliment and now you're addicted. Like me, you want to be the very best, like no one ever was. It's time to go full-on study and practice. Honestly, at this stage you should be painting more days than not, at least 4 to 5 days a week. You should also start really splitting your army painting from your competition/study painting. Don't take time with your armies. Your time should be spent on the competition and the study models. I said competition because you gotta try them out. Start small and go for bigger ones as you gain more confidence. Try to get feedback from the judges as well and make sure the feedback is pertinent. Like if you focused on one aspect of painting for the mini you entered, get feedback on that. It's useless to get feedback on something you know you did wrong or you know you didn't spend time on. Also try to get feedback from people you really enjoy the style of, which gets me to the next point, pro painters. You should start following some pros and see what they do. You can start following most of them to see what everyone's doing and to get some inspiration, but you should really focus on studying from the one or two that you like the most. At this point, subscribing to their Patreon is a pretty good idea. Here are some examples of pro painting channels that I know of. We've got Painting Buddha, which used to be Ben Comet's channel. You've also got this channel from Roman Lepat, this channel from Richard Gray, Samled's channel, this great channel from Chimera Models, and you've also got this great video from Maniac where he talks about different pro painters. At this stage, it's also time to learn even more about theory. I recommend this great video on shading from a drawing channel. and also this great video that they made, which is quite technical and really good. Regarding color theory, you've got this great series from Roman Lepat, this great video on color temperature, and this guy also made a great video on color relativity and the importance of gray colors. Regarding colors, Chimera Models made a great video on mixing colors to get the highlight and shadows that you want, as well as a great video on mixing your own skin tones, and finally a great video on color matching. You can also watch a few masterclasses. Squidmar basically made 3. You've got this one with the elven squid guy, this barbarian looking fellow, and this terrific masterclass on colors by Craftworld Studio. Finally, I also recommend that you get outside the mini painting sphere for your art advice. And I heavily recommend this channel from James Garney. He's the guy who made Dinotopia, and I learned so much from him. So much so that I picked up watercolors. It's been a joy to have the theory translate from mini painting to watercolors so well. And I also really recommend that you pick up his book, Color and Light, a guide for the realist painter, which to be honest is like a sort of painting bible in the community. If you need an art book, grab this one. Regarding how to apply the knowledge that you're gonna gather from all these resources, don't just take it all at once, just go little by little. Focus on one thing at a time, try it out for yourself first, then go look up one of the resources, see what you did right, what you did wrong. Looking at the resource once you've had a go at it, it's gonna make it easier for this thing to click for you. And then you can practice again with the resource in mind, and that way you're really gonna learn. So you do that over and over for a variety of subject until the end of time. Because plot twist, this stage is never ending, because there is always something new to learn. Even if you're a master and you've been painting for 20, 30 years, still discover something new every day. Especially if you chat to other artists and discover their worldview, their way of seeing paints and art. So just enjoy the ride. And that's it for the roadmap, folks. We did it. Yay! Pat on the back. But yeah, that's it for this video. Thank you for watching till the end. If there is any advice or resource that you think that I missed, please leave them in the comments. But anyways, I made a document with links to all the resources I showed you during this video, and I'll be sharing that in the description. But anyways, that's it for this video. Thank you for staying till the end. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please give it a like, and if you want to see more videos like this one, please consider subscribing. Anyways, that's it from me, and I'll be seeing you in the next one. So until then, I hope you stay adventurous and that you keep painting, because painting is cool.